Hi guys, welcome back. Let's have a look at the report card for Wales and Scotland following their abbreviated Six Nations tournament. I've done England, I've done Ireland, only right to round it off. And let's look at some positives and negatives we could draw from this brief tournament. So Wales started off with a big win, 42-0 versus Italy. Certainly it was looking positive, nilling Italy was great. Sure, we knew you couldn't read a lot into this game, but still the signs were very positive. The fans were excited. But then 3 successive losses, Ireland, France and England, albeit some of them close on the scoreboard, still not getting any wins against those big boys. And their chance against redemption from Scotland was taken away from them. So they finished the tournament on a bit of a downer. Now I know games might be played later in the year, who knows, but effectively I'm calling this the end of the main tournament. Positives, well, I like the clear new attacking shape, I really did. It looks exciting, looks capable of scoring tries from anywhere, and there's plenty for fans to get excited about. It's a clear deviation from Gatland's attack, and I think Wales fans were asking for that and have found it as well. And Wayne Pivac, the man who's masterminded it, sure, it hasn't gone perfectly for him, but I like the fact that he looks like an international coach. He's been very bold, he's changed the way the team plays. I like the way he liaises with the media, and indeed the reports from the campus, it's very positive and they're enjoying their time there. So, I'm perfectly happy with Wayne Pivac as Wales coach. I think most people are, and I think he'll get better and better. Other positives, well, halfbacks. Scrum half looks great, looks fully stacked now with Rhys Webb back in the fold along with Gareth Davis, Thomas Williams, and Aled Davis is a very good scrum half as well. Then Biggar and Jared Evans are very good 10s, and there's a young 10 coming through, Sam Costello, plays for the under-20s at the moment, but he could be better than either of those guys. And also Nick Tompkins was brilliant, to be honest, in attack. Sure, not perfect in defence, but he could certainly stay in this starting team, at least in the squad, for a long time. Now, negatives, clearly the defence was not up to scratch. It's hard to follow, Sean Edwards and his amazing defence, but this defence was easier to score against than the last. Now, it could be more that they're focusing on the attack and they kind of lost focus on the defence, because defence is, fairly simple, but you've got to be all on tune and all right at the top level, and maybe they weren't. And the loss of Jonathan Davis clearly didn't help. So they've got to tighten up that defence. They'll also be disappointed that they were dominated quite a few times in the scrum, physically in the collisions. They were losing out in all of those losses really, and just didn't have the bite. And what's a little bit worrying is largely the same personnel as under Warren Gatland in the World Cup. So there's a slight problem there. Maybe they're thinking about structures too much, and it's not natural at the moment. But certainly Rhys Carey is a rising star. I think when he gets into that Welsh front row, that might help them out a bit. Although, I am a little bit worried about their front five in the future. Certainly lots of promise elsewhere, but not quite sure about that area. And apart from Tompkins, it's a shame we didn't see any of the youngsters like Louis Rees-Zammit. I think Owen Lane did pick up an injury, but we didn't see any of those guys break through. So apart from Tompkins, it was essentially the same as Gatland's team really. So fair bit to work on when they get back onto the field. On to Scotland now. Scotland started off away to Ireland really, really hard, and they lost, but it was a very close game. They played pretty well. Hogg drops it over the line, so that changes it a fair bit. But they came away, yes, with a loss, but fairly positive. Then they play England in just atrocious conditions, and they battled hard. They came off second best, but again, caveated with it's hard to read into things with those conditions. They then get a win on the board against Italy. Definitely not a classic. They made too many mistakes, but they get the win. And then finally against France, they click. Their execution is spot on, to be fair. France, yes, went down to 10 men, to 14 men, which was a big problem for them. But Scotland executed everything, even when they were down to 14 men, and just clinically took them apart. Really good win for them there. So the positives, well, they've addressed one of their big weaknesses from the last couple of years in the scrum. The new guys of Fagerson, Sutherland, did really well. No Johnny Gray in the front in the tight five, so they did great, and they certainly had parity, if not the upper hand, in many games in the scrum. Physically, they also looked a lot tougher. Although when they faced England, it did look a step above what they could manage physically, but still, you know, it was decent. Another positive, Adams Hastings, it was his tournament to shine, and he did well. It took a little bit of time to get into it. I think he still needs to be a bit more confident, but he was number one. He played in that game very nicely against France, and it looks like he can step up now. When Finn Russell comes back, which I think he absolutely will, you know, they're both, you know, Finn Russell and Gregor Townsend are both going to have to make concessions, but they need each other, and Hastings and Finn Russell is a fantastic combination. I don't know if there's a space in the team for both of them to start, but certainly as a 1-2 off the bench, very useful. Negatives, well, it's got to be the fallout of Townsend and Russell, and there's some cracks appearing, you know, potentially saying Townsend's man management isn't great. He's gone for a clever appointment as captain in some ways. He's gone for Hogg, who is fully behind his coach, who is incredibly enthusiastic and energetic about leading Scotland, although leading Scotland from 15 I think is just a massive problem. But still, he's kind of restarted the team like that. If he can get Russell back into the fold, I think he should maybe change his approach a little bit, learn a few lessons from that. And hopefully Scotland can kick on and produce some more of those performances like they did against France. But against the big boys, so against England, they still looked lacking physically. They were dominated kicking wise. In the set piece, they didn't look quite good enough. So still plenty to do. But anyway, some definite positives there. So a few positives for Wales, but they need the results. Both will be looking to improve when the Six Nations is concluded later in the year, and when they go on tours, or whenever that stuff happens again in the autumn. Anyway guys, let me know what you thought on Wales and Scotland. What were their positives? Where do they need to improve? And I'll be back again with another video to give you some rugby content, as we really don't have any sport going on at the moment. Okay guys, until next time, I will catch you later.